You ready to come? You ready? Good morning. Today is November 30th, 2023. This time is now 9 a.m. and I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. I will call this meeting of the board to order. And if I did not ask if you wanted to do the invocation this time. If you would join us for the pledge and the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Oh God, please grant us in all our doubts and uncertainties the grace to ask what you would have us to do, that the spirit of wisdom may save us from all false choices, and that in thy light we may see light, and that in thy straight path we may not stumble through Jesus Christ our Lord, as we begin this meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Amen.
Thank you, sir. And I neglected to say, I did it a few minutes ago, but I will again. If you have cell phones, please silence them at this time.
I did.
Thank you. Kelly, could we get a roll call?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner F,
Present.
County Attorney Dan Slater,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Campbell present.
Thank you. And audience introductions, we'll start right here. Oh, I guess we ought to start with Deb. She's over here on the far side.
Deb Adams with Custer County Tourism.
James Gilbert.
Jackie Shepherd, Custer County Tourism.
Barry Keene, West Custer County Hospital District.
Jeff Bivens.
Matt Erickson.
Steve Barnett.
Kay Barnes, West Custer County Hospital District.
Joan Wilcox, citizen.
Stephen Wilcox.
Bob Tobin, Custer County Clinic.
Renee Tobin, citizen.
Jerry Matthews, West Custer County Library.
John Van Dorn, citizen.
Dave Schneider, Round Mountain Water and Sanitation.
Charles Vogel, Round Mountain Water and Sanitation.
Nadine Peterson.
Glenn Arrigo. Bill Parker.
Okay, and I believe we've got a couple online as well. I would just ask if anyone goes to speak later, if you could identify yourself for the record, I would greatly appreciate that. Any amendments to the agenda?
I would say we probably need to move the mill levy stuff up to the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too.
We're already on a tight schedule with us all having a meeting at 12 o'clock, so I think most of the citizens here are interested in that matter, and if there's anything that has to be tabled till the next meeting, we need to bring these mill levies forward.
Okay, do you want that before
Let's do
accounts
it.
payable and everything, or do you want it right after
Let's
that?
do it first.
Do it first? I'm good with that. Anything from you, sir?
No, I think I would propose that as well.
Okay. Nothing here either then. We do have 4 sets of minutes to approve. We have October 4th, 18th, 23rd, and 31st.
And I will move that we accept the October 4th, 18th, 23rd, and the 31st minutes. Kevin did a good job.
I will second.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes from October 4th, 18th, 23rd, and 31st. Any discussion on those?
Only thing to bring up, people don't understand sometimes, is the minutes won't get online until they're approved. So it's good that we got them approved. They'll be available for you to see.
Anything from you, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, those in favor then of approving the minutes from October 4th, 18th, 23rd, and 31st signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries. Commissioner items, Commissioner Canada.
We've got several, some are on the agenda, so I won't bring those up. One thing that is good, we have the Justice Center is, we have a grant for the Justice Center that we're finishing up. We have Riley Johnson Architects are still working. And if you recall, we had a big center, included the jail. Given the taxpayers' desire not to fund everything at the same time, we scaled it back to only the courts, which are very critical. And that was the main reason that the grants are here, is to make sure we get the courts safe. And so we're gonna do it in a modular fashion, and that's what they've been working on now, is how to build the courtroom and the right office space for that. And then have it be able to be expanded later with as little modification as possible. So with a new jail possibly in the future. So that is gonna finish up by the 20th, grant we have, and there's gonna be several, the committee that we have is, we'll be meeting a couple times to go over the final drawings. And there'll be a 3D rendering of it as well. And from that, then we, as a board of commissioners, will decide later when to bring it forward to be funded later. It's a tough time to be asking the taxpayer to spend more money when we're going to have a meeting to figure out how we're going to save the lower the inflation rate that's killing us right now, and we're going to try to figure that with the mill levies, how to help on that. So we'll decide later on what we're doing with the courtroom. But anyway, we need to finish that because the grant is there to do that, and the courts have been are excited to see what our final drawing is going to be. So that's coming up. Also, we had progress on the TV tower. I'll just mention this under commissioner item, only because we're going to discuss it here in a few minutes. But that's moving forward, and we're probably going to hit the end of January is the time it'll be functional, we hope. But we'll see how that plays out here, and we'll discuss the plan here in the meeting later. We had a good meeting with that we attended in Denver with the Colorado Counties Incorporated. Lots of good subjects, and the primary subject was this mill levy problem that we have. Not the mill levy problem, the tax assessments and the values of our houses and the tax that we have to pay. So the governor just signed into law. Was it Wednesday? Tuesday. This new process that's made it even bigger spaghetti mess, and we'll talk about that on our agenda when we get to it to discuss. We have no intention, of course, today. The only reason it's on the agenda is to bring people up to speed on what the process is now. And so we'll go from there. And I think that's all for now.
All right, thanks, sir. Commissioner.
So we have the electronic waste that we still have in the garage and out at landfill. So I have found a company out of Commerce City, Colorado, and they also have a facility in Pueblo, and they're willing to come get it. $185 for the labor and logistics to come get it, and then just for TVs and monitors, it's 40 cents per pound. So I haven't looked at and tried to figure out exactly an estimate of how many pounds of TVs we have, but or monitors. But my guess would be $500-600 right off the bat. But I'll reach out to them and see when we can schedule that, so we can get that out of the garage and out of the landfill. So
Yeah, given what it costs elsewhere to get rid of that, I think doesn't sound too bad to me.
now, I mean, to put our guys in a truck and take it down, and it's been that easy. So
Okay,
that's all I got.
anything else? Basically, most of everything that I had on my list has been covered. You did bring up that we need to adjourn this meeting at about 11:45. So if we have not finished with our agenda, at that point, I would ask that we move the remaining items on the agenda to the next meeting.
December 5th.
because of our prior commitment there. And then I would make an announcement. Some people here in the room have also gotten this. Yesterday, there were multiple people that got an email with my name attached to it. Not from my email address, but wanting them to respond and get back to them because I had a matter I wanted to discuss discreetly with them or something like that. So that email is not from me. I would urge you not to respond to that email. Anything I would send to anyone here would have my my actual county email attached. So just wanted to make everyone aware of that. So somebody's fishing. So, okay, all right. Dan, do you have anything for us here, sir?
No, other than just to advise more of the audience, and I think commissioners already know this, I have to step out at 9:30 and again at 10:15 to handle a couple of hearings in court remotely. So I apologize in advance for whatever interruption that causes. We're gonna have to walk out here.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, sir. Appreciate it. Kelly, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Okay. Unfinished business, finance report.
All right, so audit issue number one, gathering up of the lease information. Status of that is continuing on with that. Sent an email out to staff, department heads and other elected officials. Yesterday, or maybe the day before, I don't remember now, but within this last week, and more information is pouring in all the time. 2-year contracts on cell phones that we had originally kind of not even thought about, kind of hit the radar when Vernon brought it up. So we're gathering up all that stuff. So that's ongoing here. Audit issue number 2, the adjusted journal entry status. We were just about done with those. The last of these that take amounts from 23 and put them back in 22 happening after December 15th when we get the CIC is sending somebody up to train both the treasurer and our finance department on what's going on inside that program with that. So those will be taken care of during that time. Then audit issue number 3, cash reconciliation, that'll happen as well during that CIC training session. Getting out the reports that we need out of that software hasn't been happening, and there's been struggles with it. So again, December 15th, when we get that training, that'll help drive that out. And then the audit issue number 4, the payroll records reconciled to the general ledger after that December 15th training session as well. Those will start to get reconciled on a monthly basis. So that's kind of where we're at. Those top 4 were the major issues. One being the qualified opinion, and we go down from there. And then we're starting to fix the others as we do the new budget and put everybody's got the same line items to feel out of and all that jazz. So we're starting to get some traction on this. We've enacted conducting both a mid-month and an end-of-month cycle of checks to reduce the amount of out-of-cycle checks to a minimum. So this last cycle, or this last month, the month of November, this is December already. We had $0 in out-of-cycle checks, so we're getting some traction on that. We'll continue that. I did talk to some other administrators from other counties in finance departments, and they're doing AP every week, so they have no out-of-cycle checks. So that's helped them out. The CIC training class is coming up on Friday, December 15th for our finance department and the treasury department. And then just for information, the CIC contract is around $55K for the year, not $200K. So I want to clear up that mistake or that message that was out there. And that includes the assessors program, the treasury program, and the finance department. So that's where we're at.
I mean, it had got to be 50 quarter. That's weird.
I think because that was paid one time and, or it was, we just paid it and it looked like a quarterly thing and it's not. The contract says it's for the year, so.
That sounds better.
Yeah, that's a whole lot better, so.
Did you figure out how to find it? Is it working right yet? Signatures on the checks, those kinds of things, what we were trying to figure out how to work.
What's this?
You know, whether or not we were able to, I thought it was printed with signatures on it at one time.
So
What's the story?
So Kelly Camper or the county clerk is printed on the check.
Yeah.
But he stamps them after the fact. So
Okay,
that's how it'll work going forward.
that's the process right now.
Yeah. After we approve them, then he'll stamp them and we'll get them out.
So we're gonna sit around together as a, how are we gonna do it? We still have to work that
So
out.
we still have to work all those details out. Yes, sir.
And then decide whether it's gonna be 2 signatures on it or not.
Correct.
Okay,
One step at a time.
all right.
Anything?
Okay, that takes us to new business, now. First item, will be now the discussion of meeting to discuss all 11 Custer County tax districts and their mill levies.
Yeah, I put it on there. There's 2 items there. It's that one is considered floating the 2024 mill levy. And then the discussion of the meeting with the 11 districts. The timeline that was presented to us, and you've seen some of it in the newspapers or maybe on TV, is that the counties have in December through the 18th through the 18th through the 15th, when all this flurry happens at all levels. But by the end of December is and in the 3rd of January is when the local governments submit their levies to the commissioners and to certify what we want to do as a county. The municipalities are working in parallel to that as well. They can do their things as well. The adoption of the budget is due on the 10th as well, of the county budgets, all of them. And then the commissioners certify the levies on the 17th is when we'll certify them after we've had our meetings. And then the tax roll is delivered to the treasurer to go out on the 24th. So that goal still stands. The meeting that we need to have, first of all, we'll consider JD's been working with what we've had, and it's changed because they had a backfill now with the emergency meeting they had since HH failed, and they looked at that as a big break. Well, they're going to give us a break. It wasn't a break, as you know. But they're giving us another opportunity to save some money, and they want to backfill it with $55,000 to each homeowner, basically, if your assessed value is less than 10%. It was the income assessed value was less than 10%. And greater than that, it's another formula when you have $1 million houses, and it's a little bit different. So the assessor has to take into that account now and go through the formulas in order to get it at what the value would have been. And the rate of inflation at a normal value of maybe 5% and up to 6 and some percent is what they're going to cap it at. So we'll see what JD comes up with. Once JD does that, and he's been working on it and steady, he's going to get it to Lisa, who will put that in the terms of mill levies, and we'll see how much we have room that we want to float down. You can float it clear down to, you can't make it 0, but you can float it down to near 0. If that's the flexibility counties have. And as a matter of fact, they brought up in the meeting yesterday, Senate Bill 108 that was passed earlier, the governor signed, that gives the county, we've always had the ability to float them, and counties have been floating forever. We haven't been because we just hadn't had the need, or we didn't see the need at the time. Now that we know that, it's a lot better. It's a great tool for counties to use. And so they will be taking those into account. We'll get together once we have that with the districts. We have 11 tax districts in this county. If you add them all together, and a lot of them are here today. And I appreciate the turnout that came, because it means people care and we want to do the right thing. And so the idea is the budget that we have this year that we got, if we can meet that, and with the floating of our taxes, we should have the same budget or better, 3% or 4-5% more than we did this year to continue into next year, to do next year's business. If things get tight because of other things that come up, then it's just like anybody else. You don't make money, you can't spend it. And if we can't spend it, then we start stopping services that we are accountable for. And so we have to prioritize those services. So do each of the districts. That's how you work it. If there's something that we had from an outreach point of view as a county that we wanted to do to help build a playground or something, that may not have the same priority as giving money to some other project, or for sure, the main priorities are the roads in this county. You got to have an infrastructure, and the sheriff's department is a priority, and then from there we can prioritize it. So we haven't had that discussion yet. Right now, there's no need to panic, provided we can get the same budget we had last year by getting the mill levies down to where we need to go. So that's the plan. Right now, did I leave anything out that you guys can think of? Every county's in the same boat, every one of us, all of them, and they're all working the same process that we're going to bring forward with everybody here today.
So the assessor will be going next week.
Yeah, well, that's a good point to bring
To
up.
a conference that's gonna talk about how all those fill-ins and how this is all working, because even the top tax people at the conference in
Couldn't
the
do it.
state are. They're confused on this whole thing and how this is gonna shuffle out, so.
It's like Congress, that in the 11th hour, they were signing the bill and figuring it out. So this backfill, 55K. So do you take the 55 out and then you make the assessment, or do you leave it in there and make the assessment based on the value being $55,000 better? They hadn't figured that out even. So some of that still to be had, and I'm glad that the assessors are going to get an in-depth study, and JD will be there to understand exactly how to do this so that it can be the most bang for the buck that we get.
I believe they decided by the end of that meeting yesterday that
Yeah.
55,000
Was on the top.
that would be taken off of the homeowner's assessment would be after the
55.
off of the assessed evaluation. So basically you receive a credit for $55,000 as to what your assessed valuation would be.
So
Go
I'm
ahead.
confused as to why we're meeting with the taxing entities.
You do that because on your tax bill, everybody's on there. And they also, the school district, for example, they've already floated the 1 mill levy down already in
Right.
order to give some relief. And that makes the whole tax bill less. And so the only reason we're meeting with them is so they understand what their abilities to do things are. And it's up to them to decide if they want to do it or not, including the municipalities.
Right, I just want to make clear that it's not the Board of County Commissioners.
No,
As in you
but-
roll in that
but
determination.
We certify what they give us.
Well, that's an
in the
administrative
end.
function,
I know,
we can't not certify what they
No.
want.
that's right.
Okay.
And so that's correct. But that's why we want to have them have the opportunity to make the best choices for the citizens are all the same, citizens of the county that we care about.
Say, while you touched on some of that just now, you talked about the school, they did lower theirs 1.5% this year.
Mm.
So, and then Silver Cliff, actually, the last time they touched theirs at all was in 1985, at which point they dropped their mill levy, if I'm not mistaken. So, but,
And oh, by the way, that's a good point. The law allows us to bring it back up. We had to, and each year we will be looking at that, and we can bring it up without going back to the people to the level that it was. If we go more than that, then of course it's another issue that goes on to the ballot to consider.
I think we need to find out, we need to look and see what comes out of this meeting when all the
JD comes
assessors
back.
have their conference and their stuff on this, and to where we have more concrete numbers to look at as far as we're concerned.
So
I know we've got a lot of people here that would like to voice an opinion, I believe, on this today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
before you do that, let me make one more statement because we want to hear from you because it matters how we think. It's one thing to, you know, if push comes to shove, we all want the services that we want, that we need. There's minimum needed services, and then there's the nice to have services, the good things that make us better human beings. But we're all in the same bucket. And so it wouldn't do us any good, not if we're going to keep the taxes high. If the people can't afford it, they can't stay in their house, they lose their house, we lose them in the county, we lose the tax money, and we just start to deteriorate. That's why it's important that all the tax districts are there together. Because to stand tall and say, I want to do something, maybe make a better courthouse or a park instead of letting that go for a year, or not buying a truck. We've discussed that. One thing we can do if it gets tighter, rather than buying the new vehicles for some of the departments, we can get by with what we've got another year. Those are the trades you make in your own households. You know, you can't buy a new car yet, and you can't borrow the money, and we can't print the money. So that's why it's important for us all to look at what's most important and do the best together to get everybody funded the way they need to be to keep it going as good as we can, and then get back to normal as quick as we can. Hopefully the inflation rate will start to come down soon, we hope, but you know, who knows? The national election will determine that. So, and anyway, go ahead.
Okay, I will open it up, when you recognize, you can stand up. We did, institute a couple of rules, the other day, again, back on our public comment, and I will do that on this as well. Will have 5 minutes to speak. If we feel you need a little bit more, we will give that, but I will open up for discussion, here now. So someone that would like to address us on this item at this time, go ahead here. Go ahead, Barry.
If you'd rather sit,
Just sit down there.
that's okay.
I'll speak loud. So
Introduce yourself.
JD, Barry Keene, representing West Custer County Hospital District. I'm also a member of the Workforce Housing Board. But I'm here as the treasurer of the Custer County Hospital District. JD's already given us a new certification, got it yesterday. Okay, minutes before I got a notice of this special meeting regarding this topic. We've already plugged it into our budget, the new assessment without plowback information, because that probably isn't really going to be available till July, right? If you read the statute. Without the plowback information, which I don't think is really going to happen, we're $24,000 in the hole, in the red, based on the new assessment. All right. It is more money than we had before. What's happened here, and people don't seem to be aware of, and I'm on a fixed income. The new assessments cost me 1 month of Social Security, whole month of Social Security. Okay, so I'm sensitive as anybody else is. But for the last 3 years, I went back through our records, and I had pretty clear, good records for 3 years back. We've been seeing increases in our expenses on the order of 12 to 14% a year. Right? These are not non-discretionary expenses. These are like, we spent $18,000 on diesel fuel last year. One expense. So in the meantime, in that last 3 years, we've seen an average of 11% increase in revenue. One of those years is 1% increase in revenue, all right? So we've been losing ground for years, all right? Because it really had been pretty flat for years, and then we got that huge jump, all right, that everybody was shocked by. Just to give you an example, because I think it's important that the property owner understand how we have to trade back and forth here. For us to give 1 mil back, okay, 1 mil back on a $500,000 home, all right, that'll save the property owner 1.5% or $33. It'll cost us $144,000. Okay, that's the trade here. We're already $24,000 in the hole. So I'm sensitive to this. JD and I talk about this all the time. We've been talking about this for years. We saw this coming. The legislator should have seen it coming as well. They're in the special session, an additional thing, in addition to the Senate bill 001, there was House Bill 1003. That established a commission of 18 key people that are like us: Special District Association, Fire Chiefs Association, County Commissioners Association.
They were there yesterday.
Okay. They're supposed to be appointed by the court Monday. They're supposed to be appointed to look at how do we properly fund county, local government services without killing the property owner. This should have been done a couple of years ago, but now's the time. Now they're doing it. What you guys ought to be doing around trying to roll our mill levy back, that's going to put us so far in the hole we'll never get out, is engaging in that commission. They have to have their report to the state legislature in March, all right, which could become a ballot initiative in November, all right, to solve this problem, to deal with this once and for all, to get away from funding everything in county services by property tax, which we've clearly hit a ceiling on. There's no argument about that. But we can't just go and say, okay, we hit a ceiling, so we're just going to give it back, all right, when we're already in the red with the existing. And I think we're going to hear somebody else that's in the red because of the existing structure. So lastly, I just want to point out, because I really want to see you guys, somebody here involved. I hope the fire chief will be involved. I hope other members of our board will be involved with this commission, because that's the solution. Not trying to roll this back, not trying to put a Band-Aid on this. It's a painful year. It's going to be that way.
So just on that point, so before we
Yeah.
forget it, that commission is represented, each district has a representative. We have one.
Good.
And that's the point of contact that you will have.
Good.
So that is not being overlooked.
Good.
So
It may
that-
not be one of the three of us.
that's right.
In CCI, we are part of the Mountain District, so one of the counties from the Mountain District will have a representative on that.
The direct
Well,
voices from each
so-
county, so.
I hear you. And also the Special District Association has a seat on that. You better believe we're going to be in their ear.
Okay, so now just same, on that same point. That's affected later as well. What we have to worry about is this next year too. There are people that will lose their rental properties because they can't afford the tax on them next year if we don't do something now. That we're not saying permanently, but lower it down to let them be able to continue to operate until we get the big picture solved, like you were suggesting.
There are other remedies for people that are
I
in
know.
distress on property taxes. I've already discussed that with some commissioners. There's other remedies, and you ought to be looking at that and putting that in the paper and helping people find
And
it. But let me just
that
finish.
came up also, that they do have, you can get a loan on a mortgage kind of
Let's go
thing, and
ahead and
that's what
let
you're
him
suggesting.
Finish up.
Yeah, I just want to make
yeah,
sure,
no,
we didn't
I'm foot stomping what you're saying, Barry, I agree.
All right, just don't be taking my 5 minutes.
No, that's not your.
I'm allowing you a little extra.
I just saw him mad for a minute.
All right, Barry,
So the last thing I want to try to get across here, and I think this often gets lost, is that people think of taxes as going somewhere else. Okay, they're in, a black hole somewhere, and I think some of them probably do. But the truth is, the great majority of the money that we take, the revenue that we get from county taxpayers, and I don't have a percentage number for you today, but it's something that's occurred to me I want to create. but I see this all the time. It stays right here. It goes to our people. Most of our budget is about payroll. It's the clinic, by extension through the Salida Hospital District, the clinic payroll, EMS payroll, our one employee. All that money stays, or the vast majority of those people live in the county. We buy our tires a block from here. Our trucks get their service 2 blocks the other way. This money stays in the county. It circulates in the county. It's not like it goes somewhere else and is lost forever.
Mhm.
And I think that's important to understand. And I'll just leave it there.
That's good.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Barry.
Who would like to be next?
Well, I have a question, not necessarily a comment, because I think the previous speaker spoke for all of us.
And could you identify yourself?
I'm sorry, I'm Terry Matthews with the West Custer County Library District.
All right, thank
I
you, Terry.
just would like to know what the statute is that gives you the authority to float the mill levies. Could I get that statute, please?
Senate Bill 108, the governor signed it. And it is in law. And then before that, the counties always have had the ability, and I'll have to look up the
Could
reasons
you
for
get back
that.
to me with that,
Sure.
please?
But that's a fact, and you know,
Thank you.
That, and to Dan's point, the attorney's point a minute ago, we have the ability to drop ours temporarily and then we can reinstate it. We don't have the authority to adjust any of the other
Right.
10 or 11
That's right.
entities,
Right.
special taxing districts, mill levies. We only have authority over ours.
that's right.
Thank you. That was the clarification I was looking for.
Okay,
So we're only asking, Bill, you're only asking others to drop theirs or consider dropping those.
That's right. We're all in the same bucket, and that's what all the counties are doing. They have the same meeting we're gonna have with all their districts.
Thank you.
all right, thank you for that. Anyone else? James?
Yeah, I'm not an accountant or an economist or anything like that. But first of all, it strikes me that what we're talking about here is artificially devaluing property in order to keep tax rates down. And the argument is that property values are artificially inflated because the inflation rate's so great. First of all, the inflation rate is way down from a couple of years ago. So that argument sort of doesn't hold any water. Colorado's inflation rate is higher than national average, I recognize that. But we're also talking about if there's an artificial inflation of property value, then that's got to be only a portion thereof. That there's also a true increase in property value in this county. And I think if you look at home sale prices and whatever, the value of property in this county is going up. So what this property tax relief that you're attempting to do by lowering the mill levy or floating the mill levy down, I think needs to be carefully considered with respect to true property values, not arbitrarily inflated or not arbitrarily inflated. And I have a feeling that's what that $55,000 is all about, is that somebody made a calculation that based upon inflation, there's a little bit of artificial value increase. But property is an asset. It has a value of its own. It's relatively insensitive to inflation. So given that the property values in the county have gone up on their own, regardless of inflation, why is the county going to consider the final mill levy in the context of taking advantage of the value increase in the property of the county? In other words, because of the increase in the value of the county, we should be getting more money in the tax coffers. Because the value went up. That's what you tax the value. The value goes up, leave the mill levies the same, you get more money. So if there's a formula you can figure out so that you can give a mill rate reduction, but still take advantage of the property value increases, then I think it's a good thing. I think it's a bad thing to throw away potential revenue. So that's all I have to say. Oh, James Gilbert, and I forgot to stand up, I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you for finally identifying yourself. I think Kelly recognized you, but thanks for remembering that. Anyone else? Okay, less comment than I anticipated. So, and to your point, Barry, I'm glad to see that JD has gotten those numbers out to, did those go out to all of the different people at this time, or?
They did.
And
Hasn't got, as of yesterday afternoon, the library had not gotten it.
we will verify though first, because like I said, this happened yesterday. So
Right.
different, and he's going to a conference, so we'll see what all the assessors will have the same information. So,
This doesn't include any plowback stuff.
right.
And I think we do have someone here that might want to comment also on the impact on their department, but would decline at this time.
And
You can note that I showed up to a meeting and I didn't say anything.
It's okay. You're here.
You just ruined it.
Why start a new trend?
What happened in your budget, Terry, with the new assessment?
With the new assessment, there was a decrease just off from the Custer County valuation. There was a decrease of just over 64,000,
In the red.
and that's for Wet Mountain Fire.
Is that
These are-
60, if I could get clarification, that's 64,000 less than last year's budget, or 64,000 less than what the initial mill levy would have been?
64,000 less than the initial valuation that was sent out in August.
Okay.
And I believe that's probably what you were referring to.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to see what the whole big picture is. Haven't got it yet.
Janet, I'll talk to the assessor and see where yours might have gone for the library.
It's probably on the way. I
Okay.
actually assume that JD is working as fast as he can.
Yeah, he's worked pretty feverishly the last 2
Yeah.
weeks to get that out, so.
Matter of fact, all the assessors had, and he brought that up, working overnight, in fact, in some cases.
So, some of the final information is still forthcoming there, and a lot of that, I think, is how they need to handle that in this meeting that he's going to this coming week and stuff, so. I appreciate everyone's concerns on this, because it affects each and every one of us and the services that we provide. And it does need to be well thought out before we just either throw money at something or grab money out of something, so. Appreciate that. I'm gonna give a last call for any comments on this item. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move back to the top of our agenda, and unless we had the consideration of Custer County adjusting theirs
One thing the only
on
thing,
here that you brought.
right, that's right, we need to decide, look at our calendars and decide when we'll put this on the agenda next. We probably ought to wait until JD gets back, and then we'll schedule a meeting.
Okay.
Would be my recommendation, and then after that, we'll discuss it where we can get the big picture meeting. We want to talk about the county first, and then we'll get everybody together and see where we are. So that'll happen sometime next month.
Right, and we need to look at what we are going to generate in revenue over the past year and look at our budget, final budget
That's what he did.
numbers. And see where we're at.
We have none of that information today, so I don't believe we could have.
There was no intent.
Discussion today on it.
That's
So,
right. The only intent was to make sure we knew we had to schedule it and bring it to everybody's attention.
I would entertain a motion to postpone this to a future meeting this coming month.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, let's. go with it.
And do that just by acclamation.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the floating.
It was both
That
those
was,
items,
That was the consideration of floating the 2024 Custer County mill levy.
that one, and then the next one we will have it. This was just a discussion today anyway. We're gonna have another later.
Okay. Let's move on then to the consideration of accounts payable and the out of cycle checks.
And you don't have to stay if you don't want to. You're welcome.
I would say thank you all for being here and, to, voice your concerns.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Welcome home.
Let's do out of cycle checks first, since, that's a very short one.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I moved to approve $0 out of such checks.
I'll second that, $0.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to approve the out of cycle checks for $0. Any discussion on that? I would just say moving to that twice on the AP seems to help that quite a bit.
Absolutely. There's no excuses now.
So I just have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
just for my, to approve a report that's not a report of $0.
Oh,
I'm a little.
this is the first one and we're excited.
Yeah.
It's, there's nothing to approve. Really. There's no out of cycle check.
Alright, well, I withdraw my motion then to approve it.
What happens if it fails?
I don't
Pay
care.
somebody.
I don't care. As long as it's 000.
Okay, I guess
Okay.
that'll kind of fall into the same
So
category.
if there's zero,
And
it won't
the
show up if
informational
it's
item, if there's
Yeah.
a zero on there. First time we've ever had this since I've been here, so, thank you for that, yes.
Good.
We have gotten it down to a short one page, but never a zero. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Then let's go to the accounts payable.
Okay, then I move that we accept the accounts payable. Report, total of, sum total of, $320,178.33. And thank you for getting it to us timely.
You're welcome.
Yeah, appreciate that.
You're
So
welcome.
it made sense to me. And,
Yeah, it was nice to have a day or two to review
Mhm.
all through there.
and there wasn't anything that I could see that needed to be flagged unless you guys got something else.
I do have a motion on the floor, but do I have a second?
I'll
Before we get
second it.
into too much discussion.
Yeah, I'll second. Amendment.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to approve the accounts payable. So now we'll move into discussion.
And the good point on this now is to make sure that this was presented. And gave us time to look at it to approve signing the checks now. That's what this really means. So, and so I want to make sure everybody knows that we're not approving something that we haven't seen and now we're gonna. that
And
have already
nothing's
been
been
paid.
and nothing's been distributed.
That's right.
so.
Any questions for Lisa on anything in there?
No,
Great.
Okay. And I would open it up for public comment. I know you do not have a copy of this, but I would open it up for public comment at this time. Online.
Something we can talk about later too, I guess, is things that we talk about in here. Our goal is when something's on the agenda is to have the agenda posted with the attachments included online so you can see them. If they're available, if it's practical, if some things are available. So, and of course, this, what we have in front of us is your right to see anytime you want. Down.
Okay, seeing no public comment, those in favor of approving the accounts payable in the sum of $320,178.33, signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries.
Good deal.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, Lisa, thank you very, very much. Next item we have is a consideration of approval of the Alpine Lodge liquor license renewal.
So this is Alpine Lodge's annual liquor license renewal. The application is completed. He's got all the stuff that he needed, both checks. A check to the state for $650 and a check to the county for $100. And the sheriff's report was good. We've been having calls up there. And Richard is actually here if you guys have any questions.
That's pretty good because he even itemized, there were no arrests, no neighbors, no drunken disorderly, no fire calls, no EMS calls, no loud noise, no calls after hour, no domestic calls. That's pretty good. You cleaned it up there.
That tells me that they're way too expensive. If you would like to speak to us at this point.
No, I just wanted to thank you for your consideration.
All righty.
Well, thank you.
Might want to rebut my comment.
And we do appreciate keeping it clean up there with, keeping the presence of police up there down. So I know that is very much on the establishment owner. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Dan, I think you have.
Yeah, I just want to say, I try to look at these liquor license applications when I can, and just for the record, I didn't see any red flags that would make me concerned about the renewal.
Thank you, sir.
I move we accept and approve the request for a liquor license.
I would second that. Discussion here at the table then. I think we already did that out of order again.
Pretty much.
So,
Can't help it.
do we have any public comment on the renewal of this liquor license?
How many have you eaten in Alpine?
Thank you.
Anything online? Nothing. Those in favor of approving the renewal for the liquor license for the Alpine Lodge signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries.
Okay, we can still drink it.
Thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda would be the presentation from the tourism board. Zeb?
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so I realize that the three of you know what tourism does, but I'm going to give a review so everyone listening and in the room realizes what tourism does. The Tourism Board is responsible for developing and implementing a plan to market and promote tourism for Custer County. Tourism is supported by a 2% lodging tax paid for by visitors staying in local accommodations, including short-term rentals. So I just want to point out that it is by visitors, not locals. As per our bylaws, the revenues generated by the lodging tax shall be used only to promote, advertise, and market tourism in Custer County via a mix of traditional and media advertising as determined by the Custer County Tourism Board. No lodging tax collected shall be used for any capital expenditures with the exception of tourist information centers like our Welcome Center. Drum roll. Lodging tax revenue to date is the highest it's ever been at $104,398.11. That is a growth of 32.8% from 2022 and 129% over budget. The important thing to remember, that figure, this lodging tax figure translates to $5.2 million in lodging revenue. That doesn't include restaurants, groceries, shops, and all the other things. So 5.2 million has been brought into Custer County with lodging revenue. Without a doubt, tourism is a vital economic driver. Our 2023 budget is on target at 95% spent to date, and we will operate with an approved budget of $83,000 in 2024. I do want to make a comment that tourism was disappointed in the decision to prevent Dorothy from investing $3,000 to obtain a short-term rental assessment of the county with Granicus. I would like for you to please reconsider this worthy opportunity, as data is key to making informed decisions. Now I'm going to just give you a rundown of the things that we've done this year. We held a tourism discussion forum on November 9th in the library community room, filled to capacity with 40 people to generate ideas. It was very successful. That we will have an annual community outreach to keep people informed and engage people to help build community. We'll be having a strategic planning session in February with Gary Taylor as facilitator. We will then update the marketing plan for 2024-2026, and we are proud to be a part of the Care for Colorado Coalition. And just so you know, as you're writing all these notes, I will be sending this to you. Just so you know.
More intently than that.
A thing that is going on in the state with Colorado Tourism Office is the Destination Stewardship Initiative. It's a strategic industry framework that takes a collaborative approach to support our state, balance the quality of life for residents alongside the experience for visitors while enhancing our natural environment. The concept emphasizes the need to balance tourism development with the preservation of the destination's natural, cultural, and social resources. There were 7 categories with 9 priorities. I'm just going to skim over the top 3. In community impacts, certainly no surprise that workforce housing availability and affordability was the top, as well as maintaining community character. Cultural heritage, enhancing festivals and events, and preservation of historical buildings and homes. Economic sustainability, addressing seasonality, both the positive and negative impacts. One thing I want to say about that, and having a conversation with Jeff Uthier, the Forest Service, he would like it if we don't promote the wilderness in the winter. He'd like it to just be wild for the winter. So I don't know if we can really do that, but that was an interesting thing coming from the Forest Service. And of course, increasing livable wages and perks for workforce. Environment, of course, the number one concern is preventing wildfires. And second, minimizing noise, light, and contamination pollution. And an article that came across my desk yesterday is there's actually a movement, we're preserving the dark skies. There's now also a movement to preserve the quiet. There's not too many places that are quiet anymore, but it is here. Visitor management, waste management, littering, improving visitor behavior. That has been a big concern all over the state, of people just kind of not having manners anymore. Governance, overdependence on volunteers, and limited public understanding about tourism. So that is with regard to the Destination Stewardship Initiative that we are engaged in. We did 2 paid social media campaigns, one for awareness and another for an off-season getaway giveaway that was extremely successful. We had close to 3,000 entries for 2 prize packages for travel between now and April 15th, and our first guest is coming this weekend. We are applying for a CTO management grant for $20,000 with a $5,000 match to replace 3 Forest Service trailhead kiosks and update all kiosks with interpretive signage on the Rainbow Trail. We are delighted to be working in collaboration with the Forest Service, Trails for All, Custer County Search and Rescue, and All the Range. I want to acknowledge Shelley Larson of Joe Studio. She's a yearly contract, and just as we thought, her talent and professionalism has elevated tourism's ability to market and promote the Wet Mountain Valley with creativity, expertise, and most of all from Shelley, enthusiasm. Tourism provides graphic design and printing of event posters and literature for nonprofits. So we've really made just a much more professional look for our county. We attended the Governor's Tourism Conference in Fort Collins in September. The event was very informative, and we visited local and state welcome centers. We also really enjoyed some really great restaurants. Custer County Tourism Literature, I think you're all familiar with it, of what we provide. We do a guidebook, we do a town map, we do the hiking map, which is both the Sangres and the Wet Mountains, and then the Custer County past and present. The interesting thing about this particular booklet, it was released at the end of May. We printed 10,000 copies. So in less than 1 year, we only have 3,000 left. So they really went off the shelves. And the restaurant schedule is kept up to date on a monthly basis. The press that we've had in 2023, these are just some of the headlines. The charming town of Westcliff is picture perfect for a weekend getaway. Top summer stargazing destinations. These towns were named the nation's top stargazing spots. 9 gorgeous Rocky Mountain towns to visit in 2023. How you can experience ranch life in Colorado. That was a really great article in 303 magazine. And it is available online. All these articles or headlines that I'm reading, they're all available on our website under Discover and in the news. Trips with loved ones for any season, 9 of the most welcoming towns in the Rockies, and 12 unforgettable small towns to visit in the Rockies. So those are all articles that are out there in cyberspace that promote our little valley. The town of Westcliff, this is kind of fun. There's a little deck of cards called Colorado Adventure Bucket List, and it has 50 adventures for every season, and the town of Westcliff is included in there. Our Welcome Center is located at 107 North 3rd Street. We're open mid-March to early November. We'd like to be open more with volunteers if we can get enough volunteers to staff a 5-hour shift once a month. We hope to paint a fresh mural in our patio area. And from the information that we received at the conference, we will purchase a small monitor to place in the window to display a slideshow of events and places of business to have information available when closed. We are always seeking board members to add to our current 5. Meetings are the second Tuesday of the month from 9 to 11 a.m. And for winter, we're going to go to Zoom meetings. If anyone wants to join, they just have to send an email to info@visitwetmountainvalley.com to get the Zoom link. As we look forward into 2024, we have a lot of marketing and promotion plans in place, including a half-page, just going to pass that around, Bill. It's a half-page ad with a half-page advertorial in the Royal Gorge 2024 Official Visitors Guide. This will hopefully encourage day trippers as well as overnight. We are doing a 3-issue ad campaign in Colorado Life magazine, including a full-page ad in May and June, and we are encouraging local businesses to jump on board with that and kind of make the May-June issue of Colorado Life a Wet Mountain Valley issue. We are on Colorado Vacation Directory, which gets a lot of hits. We will be in the CTO Official Visitors Guide, both in print and online. We participate in the CTO Welcome Leads program for 6 months. We send out a monthly newsletter, bi-monthly in July, August, and September, close to 10,000 subscribers. We have social media cadence for posts, both organic and paid, and we also are a KLZR underwriter to put our local tourism messages out there. Tourism Future Projects will be working on a Main Street banner campaign, and we hope that we will be collaborating with Westcliff, Silvercliff, and Valley Strong on that. And that is to replace all the banners that are on Main Street. A thing that has come up constantly that we want to consider, and we'll have to work with Westcliff on that, is directional display kiosks. The 100 block of town feels like they are the stepchild because people don't seem to go down there. So we want to probably try to put some wayfinding on Main Street. And another thing that came up is just a data collection. So we will be working with Colorado Tourism Office. There are different ways now to collect data. We'll be working with them, and then we'll also probably be doing some sort of visitor survey. The ideas that came out of the discussion forum were quite interesting, and some of them already have legs. It seems that Mayor Buck Wenzel has had a vision of a Main Street trolley for 7 years. And the group was very enthusiastic about it. So Buck and Johnny from Tony's are taking the lead on that. We have actually identified a trolley that is available in Canyon. So we hope that it happens in the summer, before the summer of 2024. Another big idea, but there's a lot of work behind it, is a Colorado Creative District. There are about 30 creative districts in Colorado now, including Levita. And we sort of feel if Levita can do it, we can do it. It is about a 2-year process to become a Colorado Creative District. And I was involved in the Colorado Creative District in Longmont. And we certainly have a lot of artistic talent in our community. So we'd like to try to make that stronger. Another thing that came up is a gravel grinding event. If there's one thing that we have, it's a lot of dirt roads. Pueblo recently had a gravel grinding event that had 500 people in it. Another idea that has been tossed around, and there's a man in the audience who tossed it, the Parade of Cows art install. If you've been to any places where they have art installs of either like cows or horses or Charlie Brown. So this would be fiberglass cows that are painted by artists as well as kids or 4-H, and then have these cows throughout the county and try to acknowledge the ranching heritage that we have. And it's just a fun type of thing to do. So that was also very well received. So those 4 things were the ones that got the most smiley faces on our study. A winter triathlon was brought up, a living history event, pickleball or ping pong tournament, a chuck wagon event, a barbecue festival, and a chili cook-off. And just yesterday, I got an email from a Drew Stahl, who is someone who has an adventure company in Park and Teller counties, and I will be speaking to him. He is wondering about the opportunities and constraints to bring an adventure company to Westcliff. I have also submitted my letter of interest to continue serving on the Custer County Tourism Board for another 3-year term come January 2024. Do you have any questions?
So the board, how many members?
We have 5 at the moment. We
how
can
many
have up
can
to
you-
9.
9. And press releases. Did you write them? Do you guys write them?
No,
Have
these,
people do them?
you mean all those
All the other
articles?
articles?
No, they just show up.
Okay.
I mean, we do write press releases, but everything that I mentioned is just things that showed up in World Atlas, 303
People are coming and
magazine.
going and they write it. Okay,
Yes.
that's what
Yes.
The
And
trolley,
we looked at, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Trolley, I'm finished. The trolley, is it rubber tires or is he gonna lay a track down the middle?
No, it's actually, it's a 1989 trolley that holds, okay, this is how the guy said it. It can hold up to 23 people, but he said because we're all getting bigger, he suggests 18. except for kids. You can have 23 kids. And then it has a new engine with 75,000 miles. It has new
Somebody
tires.
would have to be hired to run the regular schedule up
Yes,
and down, so people
yes.
can come and go.
A
Got it.
lot of details need to be worked out, but at the moment, it's up to Buck and Johnny to figure out some details of how they want this to happen.
The only other thing I have is we have to be careful when you, I know the statutes have changed, but there's certain money you can't invest in things that you can't do.
No, we
would.
wouldn't be investing in the trolley, but we would help promote and market the
That's
trolley,
right,
because that's what we can do.
And that has to be clear so people aren't,
Yes, yes.
I visited with Buck a little bit on that,
he's headed.
He's very excited about it.
so sounds like you have to.
I haven't yet, but I'm sure I will.
So kind of this is for everyone's benefit. We saw the article and things, but you might want to define gravel grinding for everyone.
Basically, it's a dirt bike on a dirt road. So, it's not mountain biking in the mountains, and it's not road biking on pavement. It's really just riding a hardy bike on a dirt road, and it's quite the trend in America right now. Kansas, a place in Kansas has made it like they're the destination for gravel
How
mining.
you skin your knees.
Yeah, well, and then, so the places just around here that have pursued this gravel grinding opportunity, Pueblo, Trinidad, Colorado Springs, they've done it very professionally. We would do it more organically.
Okay, thank you for that. And then you said it was a deck of cards, but there was only 50 cards in that deck. That just piqued my interest because there was only 50 cards.
Okay, I just took it off of the website, but you're right. They
So-
need two more.
Unless you got jokers, then you got,
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Big deck.
well, thank you for that.
Okay,
Any other questions from here?
No.
and everything I said I'll be sending you is a document,
Awesome.
okay? But the 104,000, that's pretty big.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah, and I just want to make clear that we do not get money from the general fund. We do not get money from the county. We get money specifically from that 2%. So that just is showing us that the visitation has gone up.
Right, that's why tourism is our number 3 thing in our strategic.
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
Big
And I would ask, do you see that growth coming from any particular area, I guess would be?
No, so we just get the check from the state, but I assume you might be aware of the possibility that, hold it, let me find it. The possibility that the Colorado Interim Legislative Oversight Committee concerning tax policy, that is the name of the thing, could they make it longer? Is currently considering legislation to tax certain short-term vacation rental properties under a lodging tax classification as opposed to a residential tax classification. The proposed lodging property tax treatment bill would tax short-term rentals rented for 90 days or more at the lodging tax rate on par with hotel and bed and breakfast properties. This could as much as quadruple property taxes for short-term rentals that rent over 90 days per year relative to existing rates. Properties rented for less than 90 days per year would remain at the residential rate. So depending upon what happens with that, I'm sure that we would probably see a decrease in our future lodging revenue. And we're delighted that we've done so well this year, but in our 2024 budget, we still only anticipate $75,000 in revenue. So we're not thinking that this will continue.
That bill could squash the STR market in half pretty easy.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
So-
Which is kind of a reason to, I know with the Dorothy thing and identifying places, but if you have the data of where they are, even if you're not sure how you would follow up on compliance, it's just good data to know. And people are obviously coming in, but we also realize, even though we're funded by that 2% lodging tax for overnight visitation, that the day tripper is also a key visitor to keep Main Street thriving.
Well, I think there's a lot of people out there, including myself, when my parents come to visit, they're not necessarily tourists, but they stay in a STR or a
Yeah.
motel room or
Yeah.
something. So they have.
You
their
have a
own
big
place where
party,
they
you
come.
gotta have a place to put them, people.
Well, so my mom was here for 3 weeks and she stayed in a short-term rental that it was just around the corner. It was the best situation. I mean, if you're staying for 3 weeks, I don't really want to stay in a hotel, but she had the comfort of a home.
Mhm.
So there is some advantage to short-term rentals, and I think the Planning Commission and the BOCC has got it somewhat under control, but like I said, I'd really like to see more data of what we really are working with. So if you could reconsider that for planning and zoning, I would certainly appreciate it. Not that you care what I appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Quit putting yourself down.
You good or?
We'll take a quick break.
All righty. I thought we were asked for, I called the next item up. We'll take a short recess.
No, we better get it before it gets old.
I know.
That's that.
Stomach doesn't feel the best, so. Headache, stomach ache, whatever.
All right. The time is now 10:26 a.m. and I will reconvene this meeting of the Board of Custer County Commissioners. Next item on our agenda would be the consideration of transferring the Veterans Service Office pickup to the Coroner's Office. I believe you brought that, sir.
So the coroner's vehicle, and I was hoping he was here, but he wasn't sure whether he was gonna make it or not. Right, that old Ford pickup is now cost more to repair it than what it's worth. And we're probably in the neighborhood of $15,000. Do all the fixing on it that needs to be fixed. So, I talked to the VSO officer. He is not using that pickup, hasn't used it since he's been here. And he said he'd be good with giving that up. So it's up to us as to whether we want to transfer it fully to the coroner so that he can get it outfitted for his service, the county service. So
what do you recommend?
So my recommendation is that we transfer that old VSO truck to the coroner's office. And he will outfit it for his purposes.
Got a motion?
I move that we transfer the SO truck to the coroner.
Okay, I'll second.
All right, so I do have a motion on the floor to transfer the Veterans Service Office pickup to the Coroner's Office. It'll bring us to discussion. I think given to your point that he hasn't been using it, the scope of work has changed for the VSO now since Dominic is here and Christie has taken on the social aspect, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Or they're not cutting firewood like.
So they're not using that pickup like
Is Vince still here?
our previous two VSOs.
Correct.
And so I think that does open up that vehicle for other uses.
No, I agree. He didn't see any planned future for it as well, so.
Pretty good pickup, I think.
Yeah.
That was picked up this last year, I think.
Mhm.
So. Any other discussion on that here?
Nope.
Not for me.
Any public comment on that? Not see anything here, not see anything online. So I have a motion on the floor then to transfer the VSO pickup to the coroner's office. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries.
Transporting veterans.
He has left.
They've already, he'd add some color to this next discussion, but that's okay.
Next item would be the consideration of the Thin Air Communications Work Assessment invoice.
Okay, that's my deal I put on here. It's this Thin Air is the contractor that installs and works on all the translators in the state, actually. And they're the number one. There's two companies that do it. This guy is the one that handles this area and is very good at it. And he was down here with Vince, and I sent you a picture if you want to pull up what I sent at the front of this meeting, because it didn't get attached. I had it sent earlier. But it's a picture of what he's proposing to be the project. It is he determined in his visit that the building that's there now is unacceptable. He's not able to put the racks in there that are needed and an air conditioner to do the job in this summertime primarily. So what he's proposing, he's getting bids right now on the rest of the equipment that's needed. He's got Gates Airs already, the ones that I brought up before with the translators. And so he's working with them and other people for the rest of the equipment, the wiring for the antennas, for example. So it's gonna come in 2 stages. You can get it, as soon as they get them in, they'll put it in the building that exists for the winter until it starts getting hot. And by that time, they're gonna have this cabinet that you see on the picture that I sent. It's a standalone cabinet, and that picture is actually on another county's tower. You see the antenna line going up to the antenna out the back end of it. It's got its own heaters, it's got its own air conditioner, and it's a 3x3 cabinet, just so that you people out here understand it. Tower stands up, the equipment's inside it, and power goes to it. Vince looked at it with him, and he and Scotty both recognize that it's pretty easy to build a pad up there. Pour a concrete pad big enough to handle that, and to the whatever specs they got, to put the power in underneath it. And they'll be working, he's gonna work with whoever the contractor is that buy an electrician to run the power line over there, et cetera. So they're gonna put that program together, get the bids in on that, and then they'll present it to us for consideration on the whole program. So all I have right here to approve today is that that assessment, on what he had to come down here and size it up and meet with Vince and Scotty on it. So that's the progress right now. The program, like I said, they're gonna do their best to get the equipment mounted in there before the end of January. And once we get rolling on it.
So when do you expect all the bids for this total project?
This Friday. That's when we'll have the rest of the study, and that's what he told me yesterday. He's been working with Gates Air on their piece and the other equipment that they need.
So
We'll have the whole picture
we'll
here,
know what final cost is.
and not
to be able
until
to address this.
we might be able to do it the second meeting of the month, next month. Here, we'll see what he presents us. Meanwhile, I would like to move that we accept this invoice and get it paid for what he's done so far.
So I'm gonna re-ask my question. We'll know total cost on this project by Friday.
Well, yeah, and I'd like to bring it into the meeting on the second meeting of the month, if it's all together. If not, we won't know, and then we'll work it real time as we get things, we'll figure out when to present it.
Okay.
So the invoice was dated November 16th. When did we get this invoice?
I just got it about 2 weeks ago. In a discussion with him, he sent it, we've been gone back and forth. And there's no rush on this, and you can wait on it, but
Right, because I don't want to do it in a cycle.
that doesn't have to be.
Okay.
I told him that already.
So he's good with that?
Yeah.
As long as he's good with it.
Yeah.
It'll go into the next.
I just want to prove getting it in.
Okay.
And for everyone's benefit, the total cost on this is $945, and that was for travel here to assess the site and back. It looks like from Elizabeth is where this gentleman's out of.
All right, and he spent the day down here, well, good major part of the day with assessing it, looking at it, getting the descriptions, a lot of pictures he took, so he can deal with the contractors he has to deal with.
So one
Good
tower, 2 channels.
Right.
And all the equipment will be in one cabinet.
That's right, just like you see it there.
All right.
Pretty neat deal. And then the cabinet, we have the other, we can decide to move it out of, it's our, something we will deal with later.
So the rest of that building then is obsolete?
No, there's a ham radio, some stuff's in there too, some other stuff.
Do we own that? Or who owns that?
County does.
County owns the building. So we need to put that on our,
Yeah,
is
actually.
there any IGAs with that, with other agencies, or what? I guess, what is all in that building? What do we all own and what?
I
does
don't
other
know
people
all of
own
the
and-
details.
County VHS repeaters are there.
The
We
repeaters
also
are in there.
have one of the internet providers has some equipment in there.
Right,
Okay, so we need to go after any of the leases that we have there.
You know, and
Yeah.
there are some
And Matt
Out there.
Carver's been up there to see it, Matt, just so you know, Lucas.
Okay.
But yeah, there's lots of other equipment. in
Stuff
there.
we can deal with, get these out of
Which
there,
may-
and be freeing up a lot more
Which
space.
without the AC unit on that building is still an issue for the equipment that's still in that.
Yeah.
But with these
absolutely.
translators out of there, there'll be more room to do a better job with an air conditioner for what's left in there.
Okay. So are they removing the old equipment or is it just being abandoned?
Yeah, they will.
They will, okay.
There'll be some of the stuff, some of it they can, some pieces they'll use, but not the electronics.
Okay.
Anything else here at the table for this item? Any public comment?
You still need a second.
Yeah. second
Oh, I did
needs to be
not get a second?
seconded.
I would second this and I thought.
No,
Yeah, I thought we.
I said I moved and then we got into the discussion.
Okay.
You guys asked. Okay,
No further discussion here. Go ahead.
Nadine Peterson. So, I understand there's a building there already that's got a lot of equipment, including whatever we're going to upgrade. And if that building is going to remain there
it,
and you'll build a new footprint and.
Right,
Slab
and-
for a new one.
and ideally, the way that the picture here, I'll show you, I can send you the picture. It sits right next to the tower where the antennas are. We already have the antennas. They're viable. He needs to run new power antenna lines up because they're old and cracked. And put that in new and to that tower box, the tower with the translators in it. It's about a 3 foot by 3 foot square box. It sits on a pad big enough for that.
And that will have a heater and an air conditioner.
Mhm.
So is there supposed to be a heater and air conditioner in the other building that's going to be not used anymore?
Air
What
conditioner,
happens to that equipment?
that's what he just
So-
brought up.
Um,
That equipment needs an air conditioner.
Okay.
And right now, you can't get an air conditioner in there properly because too much equipment's in there.
so the footprint can't be just expanded and make it one bigger building to hold everything?
Well, to build to expand the building would cost more than to make this 3x3 by 6 foot tall crate that they can build in a manufacturer's shop. And put it all together and then take it out there. It's more feasible and more cost effective to do that.
And they did look at that. I mean, we considered that. We've been up there several times on it to do just that, Joy.
All right.
It's a better use of that equipment. For what's in that, you heard it's county translators, it's county communications that's critical in that building too. And it's better to make sure it's got an environment that's not gonna crap out on an emergency for us either.
So what's the intended, Jim McMahon, what's the actual cost in the long run? I mean, it's already a cubicle? It's already something you're just gonna bring in and set it?
The equipment, yes, it's already designed, it's not being
So
built
you kind of
specially
got an
for.
idea of what it's gonna cost?
Absolutely, and that's what that's why I said they're getting the cost figures together for us on Friday.
So they've done this before?
And the estimate was yes, oh yeah, that picture we have is on the tower for Prowers County.
So he's tentatively said it's gonna cost 9,000 or 50,000?
Well,
Kind of got an idea?
I haven't heard a number.
no
yet.
number yet on
Really?
that.
That's
we-
why I asked.
that's why we're
about
trying to
that,
get-
that
Sure,
We'll be here by Friday.
sure,
We haven't bought anything yet.
but you're
And-
gonna pay him for the site analysis?
Well,
and
he
all that?
has to be paid for that. That was.
There you go. Good job.
the
Good job.
People that came in to give us the opportunity to make a decision. So that has to happen. We already have an estimate on the translator equipment raw. They're roughly 13,000 each for 2 of them. And then the other equipment, that's the new equipment without tubes and transistors. It's got whatever it is. And they claim that you can turn it on and forget it. It's that kind of a process. If it's air conditioned and heated correctly.
Where'd you get that power?
There already, and they're gonna have to just run it from the building over to this pad
Solar,
No, it's hardwired
so it's on the grid?
already.
On the grid with generator backup. probably.
That generator backup up there for the other antennas that are up.
Anything else?
By the way, that's a nice spot to go up and have a picnic.
Don't take your little car.
Yeah. Beautiful view of the range all
We
day.
can fill in a rut with it. So. Okay, and not seeing anything else online either. So those in favor of approving the invoice submitted by Thin Air Communications in the sum of $945, signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries. Consideration of Human Resources Director interview.
Okay, that's another one. We have, the applicants have, been in now. I think we have 3 or 4 right now. And I put this on here so we can schedule the interviews with them. So take a look at our calendars, and I'd like to get this done sooner the better. So the and since we're gonna be here, I don't know, we gotta figure out what our meetings are gonna look like in the future, but our first day on Friday, the 5th. Or the 6th, we're gonna be here together.
Yeah.
Or Thursday, the 7th is open. After 10 or noon for me.
Yeah, that 7th works.
I would have to have it no earlier than 1 o'clock.
That'd be great. I think we can do it in the afternoon. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, let's just agree to the meeting, then I'll ask, I'll get with Lisa and we'll get the, oh, and by the way, I did meet, up with, CTSI has a new HR per hire they have, her name is Siri. And that's a problem because every time they say, call Siri, and there's 10 phones that light up in that office. Saying, okay. Anyway, her name is Siri, and she is, I'm gonna get with her to make sure we got, I'll give her the set our questions that we've had in the past. I want to get some specific HR related items and possibly some other help from them to make sure we get a good understanding of the capabilities of who's applying for us. And I'll work that as soon as I'm out of this meeting today, actually after our next meeting.
So are we going to? Because we haven't seen any of these applications yet, are we going to vet those applications?
Yes, and here's what I was gonna, the process, what we've done in the past. They're available now. You can go in and take a look, get, at least lay them out like we've done before, take a look at them. And send you whatever hard copies that are online she can and make you have to get a feel for each of the applicants before we meet. And then we will have them randomly selected like we did before to come in for the interviews, and we'll ask the same question. We'll go through the questions and I'll try to get those run by us before that meeting. So we can agree to the question.
I think you may have misunderstood my question. The question was, were we going to vet these applicants to decide if we were going to interview 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
or 4 of them?
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's what's happened in the past based on our review.
We've generally met
Yep,
at some point to
said
decide that.
all of them get interviewed or one of them, or 10.
Yeah, I think we need to go through them because if none of them
Meet the criteria, it would be,
speak to
Right.
us or speak to the criteria, then why do the?
no, we have to have, well, we don't meet with the person, but we can read the application.
Right.
if they don't meet the criteria, like never had an HR job in their life, but they want to try a new career path, that you can throw out.
So I think we need to do something earlier in that. Make
Well, why
sure
don't we, you wanna meet on the afternoon of the first day, because we're here, just to have a quick look. Fifth,
Yes, and that would be. That would be at the end of that meeting on the fifth.
Yeah.
Are you here that day or are you not?
I'm here, I think, on almost every day at this point.
wow,
Uh,
All right,
the fifth? Oh, definitely here.
so,
yeah, why don't we
yeah,
just,
on the fifth, if we had a quick meeting,
couldn't,
that would be an executive session to. Decide who we're gonna interview, and that will be that would be on the agenda for the meeting on the fifth. To decide the interviews for the
Schedule.
7th.
like it,
Okay. That sounds good. Good for you,
yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Not good for me, but
No, she.
I guess that you will,
you'll get it figured out.
yeah, so anyhow, you're the one in your stead.
Mhm.
She probably has other things she'd like to do, but we'll try to make that quick. That shouldn't take very long. Okay,
Okay. Brad, you're late. We sold your car to Fremont County.
Did you?
I hope you got quite a bit for it.
I hope you don't mind the body in the back of your truck.
I guess we should have asked first.
Fremont County might mind.
Oh, you can take mine. Mine's got a topper on it already.
So, yeah, actually, we did vote to give it to you.
Oh, we did give it. Oh, it is yours.
All right, thanks. See you guys later.
Yeah, that's okay.
Do with it what you need to.
Very good.
you did better by being gone than if you'd have been.
We were in a debriefing for these critical incidents, so. We had that this morning with mental health.
Good.
Felt I needed all the help I could get.
We were gone. How'd the vigil go?
Very good, very nice. Very nice, got to speak with a lot of the family and talk with them about it,
Gee,
so. Yeah,
that's good. Thanks for the work.
but. It was a tough scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. well,
No, thank you for that.
I'm glad you stopped by.
Yeah.
Okay,
Next item then would be, consideration of the BOC administrative assistant interview.
so let's do the same process. We got it in, we got an application. Let's take a look at it the same day in the executive session, and we'll decide what we're gonna do.
Same dates, same times. Or as the times are set up on the 8th.
Right.
And the 7th. Okay. That brings us to the consideration of the. I get my eyes straightened out here, consideration of Custer County Finance Director posting.
Okay, so following the same process again here. We went through and have a good job description now. Now you're looking at timing on it, time to put together the team with Lisa and Jen. And what I would propose is that we post this for next posting would be next week. I would suggest that. And with the intent to give it a long time and with the right wide distribution as we can, and bring it back in here on, we have a mid-month meeting in January. We haven't got set, by the way, we're gonna have to have that on another meeting, is setting the calendar for next year meetings. So we know what day the mid-month ones are and where they are. But I would like to have it in here by the 24th or the 25th of January. bring in the applicants and see where they stand, and then make the same choices that we did today, whether we want to interview them all or whatever, or if there are any. So, the only thing I think that we would want to post, and I would work with whoever in order to post it, we have the job description that we can put online. It's a pretty thorough one. But what we need is a summary, that goes out on the posting with the salary. And that we need to probably discuss now. What we want to do to go forward with that. And I'll help write that along with, anybody else wants to volunteer. Lucas, you volunteered to do a lot of that. You don't need to do it all.
So we've got two out there right now, positions that we haven't filled. One that's listed at 58, the other one that's listed around 36. And now we're gonna add another one.
Yeah.
And we've had very little discussion
Yeah.
on what each of the finance current positions are going to do. We're gonna have an HR director come in, so we're gonna working on that. BOCC admin. And what's your thoughts for then the two people in the finance director or in the finance department?
So that my thoughts are that Lisa is the key, and she would be the assistant finance director with the authority, and we need somebody with the finance director is sick with it fully capable to take over and run it, or vice versa. Make a team. And then Jen, she's got, I don't know what, you had some thoughts that you had brought up at one point about having her do a couple other things as well. What do you think?
So I've, so we're adding two high dollar positions. We've only got one application right now for admin assistant. So yeah, I know Sam DiNardo made the comment and others have made the comment, we need 3 people in our finance department. We're a county of 5,000 people. There's counties larger than ours that only have 2.
I think we can do it with 2.
So then if we hire somebody, then and let's just say for conversation's sake that our assistant finance director is doing payroll and AP and taking care of those pieces. What's the new person? What is their duties that they are officially in charge of? And then what do we do with the assistant to the director now? And what do we do with that position? And what does that look like?
Right.
Because we haven't discussed what those look like and how that's all gonna interplay within the county and support the business at hand.
Mhm.
And I think, if I might add, at this point, a lot of the issues that have been brought forth are being addressed and being taken care of in a pretty timely fashion. I think I would still question the need to have another person brought in.
Well, that's a point, but I still believe we need a finance director that is an accounting person, like we discussed. And the job description that we have is vital. And I think with that person and an assistant like Lisa, with capabilities that she's got, it would be a top-notch team. And I think we need it. Still do.
Okay, do we?
And then finish the $70,000 we've already got put away every year. That for county manager that we don't have need for. That money's there. Along with money that we save, that we have already with 2 positions that we've got. Seems to me we can afford it. And I'm thinking a salary range of maybe 65 to 75 to put out there initially. be my thought.
So we're talking about floating our mill levies down. Are we still gonna be, what are we going to be able to do that? We don't have the numbers yet, so we don't know where we're at fully, right? I mean, I don't know where we're at because we don't have the numbers plugged in
Not yet.
right?
But we do know that we're gonna, at least the budget that we have for this year is, going forward is the same as we had last year. That 70,000 is there. Now, whether it stays there is another
Well,
story.
it's already
Whether it
got
needs to be
made up
used
by
by something
an
else.
HR director.
Yeah, we've got an HR
Not-
director we brought on and made a new position, so.
Part of it.
Yeah, part of it.
Something to think
I
about.
would say most of it. So. And. To Lucas's point, we haven't had the discussion of how that department looks if we do this. Either.
So let's have the discussion. When you want to do it. We gotta get off the pot and get going because it matters. It really does.
Mhm.
So I'm willing to do it next week.
Okay,
Get a meeting together and let's see where, maybe we wait till JD's finished with his deal.
Mhm.
That's next week.
Cause what we are doing is we don't have all the information. And we're making a decision without all of the information. Right, because we don't know if we wanna float down the levies, what are we gonna cut? Where are we gonna cut? What are we, is it vehicle? Is it positions?
Could be.
Or
Could be.
is it raises? Is it,
Well, when we can't do it if the finance department is the heartbeat of this county, and it needs to be first class, doing the right thing correctly, which we understand how to do to go toward there, and that finance director was one of them. So we need to have that discussion.
Right, cause
That's why I brought it up. We can't ignore it and think things are gonna get better.
we also have huge amounts of risk right now with HR.
That's right.
Right now, it's still plaguing the finance department.
Yep.
It's still, we made that motion a long time ago to split those two apart.
Yeah, and now we can get that separated. It has to be. We've got complaints, lawsuits, and other things we don't know the impact of yet that have been caused because we haven't had an HR department.
Right.
And that may
That's why.
considerably change. We have no idea what that looks like after that gets split off.
Reminds
and
me.
how that frees up the existing personnel that we have in their time.
It's a good question. We have a complaint and we're working now, I think. That's a loss potential.
So,
I don't know if that's gone anywhere. Has it gone anywhere?
We're still working on it. We have an extension of response deadline.
Really? The 30-day,
Well, to
November?
that date that I indicated in my.
So I could see, right, because there's HR components that are HR. And then there's those ones that are benefits that are still tied to the finance.
Part of the
right?
finance department.
And so if this finance director does all the ledger stuff, cash reconciliation stuff, the overall general scene, managing our leases, managing buying out of equipment, whatnot, and you move our current director into the assistant director, which then she's also, or that position is also taking and combining with HR to a certain degree, those in working the benefits, the payroll, all that jazz together that's got to do with both benefits, workman's comp, all those related claims that go back and forth, just not only just with an HR director in the human aspect side of it of dealing with it, but then also the payout of all that as well. I could see that, but you still have that third person or that third position, and what does that third position do?
Or do
Are
we need
they, or do we need it, or does that person then take on some of the BOCC admin roles, so we're not taking on another position? Or is that person taking on PIO responsibilities, or are we gonna, is that person just deal with some of our grants? And
What do you propose? What do you think? I still propose that we hire a finance director. And that's key. And then, around that, then we deal with the impacts of what do we need not, what we need not to do, and what we do need to continue to do. And we can have a workshop to do that. And involve that person too, when that person gets here. But I think it's key. And that would help us to do it, because I'm not an expert in the finance department, that's for sure.
Mhm.
And I think it would be great to have somebody here to help grow. And by the way, understand, and I like the fact that Lisa has already gotten to know CIC, and it sounds like CIC is coming around maybe.
Yeah.
And so it would be nice to get that person in here to learn that and help. Lisa can bring that person up to speed and grow. If we wait till down the road, and you're bringing in somebody cold, we're gonna waste some time trying to bring that new director up to speed. Bring them in.
I think they're gonna have learning curve regardless with
Right.
CIC.
This is the time of year to do it, when budgets are done. Now's the time. So,
So that brings up, another, so right now, yeah, I get, yeah, I need more time to think about it and think about how this is gonna play together.
so
From
let's,
my aspect.
so let's take a look at it next week. Then after JD's back,
Okay, so that wouldn't be next week, because he's gone.
that's the week he's gone. And
Yeah, it's next week. So the mid-month is 13th.
so let's do it before then.
Okay. So do you wanna have a special meeting on the 11th? Or the 12th?
Yeah.
I've got a 9 to 11. You wanna do a
11th
12th.
is 12th.
12th is Tuesday.
Yeah. Pick a time.
Let's do 1 to 4, whatever.
And that will be,
That's gonna be looking at the finance department and the requirements. As a department, not as a. We understand what's needed.
discussion of makeup of finance department.
And how we are gonna man it, and then and how it would interface with, I don't know, this thing with HR and all that is making sure the benefits, packages are included and briefed. And that work hand in hand with the, finance department. And then the BOCC admin, by then we'll have a better handle on,
Mhm.
and the HR person.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
It's the 12th at what time?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Okay, it's
You got all that, Kelly?
Yep.
Thank you.
it's critical. And we're gonna know more also on the CIC stuff. You said there, you had, somebody else that had. Another, ours is 55,000, the other, computer system and you mentioned.
So Tyler's gonna
Tyler.
get a hold of me. I'm gonna just start discussing with them just what their cost is. See if I can get a quote from them.
Okay.
Just so we start getting some backup, and I know the assessors talked with GSA. So I wanna get a quote from them as well, just be ready, start to prepare for if all of a sudden CIC can't support us or doesn't support like they've stated. That we have some options already looked at.
Yeah. Alright.
Can't hurt to ask, anyway.
Okay, anything else on this, gentleman?
Nope.
Any additional items of business?
Excuse me, is there any public comment on what you were just discussing?
We did not have a motion on the floor, sir, so no.
We'll discuss it at the end here.
You have public comment coming up, you can comment.
Bring it up.
At that time.
Thank you.
Any additional items of business?
I can't remember what it was, but it's all right. I'll put it on next meeting's agenda if I think about it.
Okay,
Am I just making something?
yes, you can.
To all three of you, I will be out of the office all week next week. Not taking my computer or my phone with me. Good girl. And so Lucas is gonna be handling the agendas for me. So any, after today, any agenda items that you have, send to Lucas, please.
Okay. How soon before they go out do you want?
Kevin, behave yourself.
Just that. All right,
Sooner the better,
thank you.
of course.
All right. Yeah,
I just got beckoned over to an issue at DHS. I'm wondering if anyone has any objection to me skipping on public comment or whether you would like me here for public comment.
you are hereby officially excused. How's that?
Sure.
All right. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Public comment. Go ahead, sir.
Bill Parker is my name. And receiving this qualified audit was a big red flag. And I just don't get any impressions of being taken seriously by county administration. Kevin, you made your comment that the current staff is working through the audit issues. And you don't, because of that, they're doing it successfully. And because of that, why do we need additional financial help or even for that matter, an accountant? Fixing those audit issues is just a small part of the problem. The problem goes toward having professional financial management in county government. And we don't have it. And I think we don't have protocols and processes for managing leases and capital purchases. We don't have professional protocols and process in place for grant management. And 50% of our revenue in the county is grants. We need professional help. We need a trained accountant in here to manage the finance department. And I just don't think it's being taken seriously enough. And yet again, you've kicked the can down the road. You've already passed a resolution to create a position, you have a job description. We all know it's going to take a while to recruit the correct person with the right skills. Let's get out there and start finding that person. So I understand your concern about current county employees. I get it. I think we all would get that concern. We're not looking to displace anybody or kick anybody out of the job. That's not the objective here. What about the concerns of the citizens for proper financial management in this county? That's what we're looking at. We don't want another qualified audit that comes after 2 extensions for time. I mean, we want the audit done. We want the books done on time. We want the audit done on time. And that's gonna come through hiring somebody who's trained in financial management. And we just don't have that right now. And I think your concerns about current employees are well placed. I agree with them. But you propose at a special meeting to talk about the organization of the finance department, when hopefully you're gonna go out and hire a professional manager for that department who knows one hell of a lot more about organizing that department than the 3 of you. Why are you trying to organize the department before you even hire the person? I don't understand. It just seems like the wrong process to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nadine Peterson. So you guys have a job description which was approved, and you were talking about posting the job today. That's on the agenda. But that again seems like it's being kicked down the road. I was wondering, is there any reason why that job cannot be posted today or this week and start getting applicants? I mean, there's no reason to not post it today. We're assuming, I mean, we need the finance manager. We need them. And we need them sooner rather than later. We keep kicking it down the road, so please reconsider that agenda item and post the job immediately.
Thank you.
Jeff Bibbins, what is the projected salary increase that we're talking about with, you were discussing 3 new employees? And then where would that money come from?
We don't know at this point.
So that would be reason to delay.
The only,
So the BOCC admin, that's already in the budget, and the HR director could come out of the 70,000 that was projected this year in the budget for the county manager that we haven't used. So there's, that money is in there. We have not put in the budget another
For another position.
person in the finance department.
and that was my point initially.
Right.
And I believe it should be posted. I've already stated my position. It should be posted only because I agree that person can organize it and help make this thing happen. The only reason I'm confident that we have the money is because in our budget before, then the one from last year, we put the 70K in there, but there's also money in there that was called a rainy day fund. That was because when getting CIC online, they realized that there's money there that nobody counted. It's there. And so that's why I'm pushing on, what do we know about CIC now? What do we know about our budget today? But if we don't take the moves and make it happen, we're going to continue to kick this down the path. I believe that we can hire that person and still make it come together. But if we don't start doing it, we're just going to keep kicking it down the road. Because you're right. When I say organize the department, I meant how many people. What they're doing is another story, and that what they're doing is the expertise of that director. So I don't mind waiting here to see what JD's thing is. But I do know we personally, and I've talked about this mill levy till I'm blue in the face. I believe in it. it is a good thing that will allow us the ability to give the taxpayer a break and maintain, or we're gonna increase our budget over next year. We have the money, it will be there. Now, that doesn't mean everybody gets to have an affordable housing thing or a pet project for a playground or whatever. That's the hard choices. I would rather hire a finance manager than those. That's fact, and get a good finance department together. So I want all of us to be on board of a finance department. And I understand the issues. We gotta make sure we're crossing our i's and dotting our t's. But it's up to us to take the risk and decide what to do and when. And you're right. So if, we'll look at this and we'll see where we are. I will make the motion to do that. Right now, I think it's fine because of the issues with the darn mill levies and all that. And I think I agree with you, Lucas. But eventually I'll make the motion. If you guys don't support, then that's the way it'll be. But we're gonna have to get this because we do have the position, we do have that job title, we do have a department, we do have the audit. Those are real. And so let's look at those in our little quick meeting that we're gonna have here in a week. And then we're gonna get off the dime.
Just a quick comment on your rainy day fund. That was the unofficial term we put out. We split it up to all the different budgets.
In each of the
That
departments.
was for our Tabor reserves.
Mhm.
And
There's some other stuff too.
so, just
So we'll
so
see.
everyone's aware of that.
Yeah. So
This time I'll remember.
There we go.
James Gilbert. First of all, contrary to a previous speaker, we do not necessarily agree that we need a finance director with accounting experience, et cetera, et cetera. Some of us believe and have faith in the current operation because of the progress we've seen being made on the points of the audit. That's the way things are supposed to work. Under Lucas's leadership, the accounting group has progressed through the points of the audit and are continuing to do so. Secondly, the $70,000 that was budgeted this year in a line item, I assume, for a county manager isn't there next year. You got rid of the position.
We didn't get rid of the money. It's there.
Of course you did. The position's gone. You don't have a line item
Okay,
for county manager that's $70,000. It
No.
don't make sense.
Let's not back and forth. And I know,
But yes.
let him finish his statement, please.
So that money is not there. Secondly, you have no idea how well the finance department is going to operate under the current structure. Once the human resources director is hired to take that burden off of the group, I would expect that the performance level would increase almost exponentially. So all of this nonsense is in response to Chicken Little and the word qualified. The observations are there. You know what they are. You're attacking them in a structured approach. Let it run its course and don't spend county money that you don't have. I mean, you could obviously contract with an accountant for a couple of days to take care of accounting things that someone couldn't take care of. There are consultants, etc. But why bring on a full-time salaried employee with benefits that's going to cost at least as much, probably, as the county manager you deemed irrelevant and didn't want the position in the first place? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering if any one of you have researched other counties and their makeup and what their finance department looks like. Do they have accountants and CPAs in position to manage their financial department?
That's some of the backlog that I have.
Exactly.
So then I also want to say that you have a perfectly good financial department. You have a team with Lisa and her assistant. And it's just Bill's determination to put someone else in place above Lisa. Lisa is a hard worker. She's a good person. She's been attacked senselessly by certain people. And it really is time for that to stop and let her do the job that she does. This county has never had a perfect audit. So it is nothing new now, and you are working out the differences. Great to hear the finance report from Lucas, but the finance department as it stands is a good department, and it's time to stop beating the dead horse.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I will respond to some of that. The bottom line is I have gone to other counties. They do have accountants. They do. That's what they're there for. That's a fact. And this is not, and nobody attacked Lisa. I've never attacked her ever. Period. And then bottom line is, she is very valuable and thank God she's here. So that's the fact.
I would like
Anyway,
to see
bottom
your
line
list, Bill.
is,
I'd like to see your
that's
list.
enough.
Let him have the floor.
Anyway, so it is critical. And we will continue the discussions and we are going to make something happen.
I'd like to see your
Uh,
list, please. No, he said he has a list. I'd like him to put it out in print
Okay.
of who he has seen. It's
Thank you.
only fair,
Thank you.
because he could be lying.
Thank you. Okay. I would respond to your response to some degree, and I will. Some counties do, some counties don't. To Lucas's point, he is in the process of
That's right.
compiling that information as well, and it will be down on paper to where everyone can see one way or the other, to your point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So rather than making a blanket statement without anything to show, I would appreciate that.
Jim McMahon. We kind of stumbled into all this stuff. What, 4 months ago? When we got the county manager position going. From my understanding, that individual was the finance guy. And from my understanding is the last few years, the financiers are a little questionable. Did he know anything about double entry bookkeeping? Is that something we need to have a qualified person here to install that? Because that's kind of the standard. I've learned so much from this man. I can make every decision the three of you guys are doing by noon, starting at 11:59. There's something going on there, and I can't put my finger quite on it. Are we so concerned about the people we hired that may not be the person? I mean, they're doing it, they're holding it together apparently. People are getting their paychecks and vendors are getting paid, right? And we're gonna satisfy the audit? But I would ask the three of you, do you know anything about double entry bookkeeping? Have you researched it on YouTube? Do you know why it was created? Do you know why it's so important to have a qualified individual that would save you time? The auditor would come here in a day and say, hey, great job, you're a professional. Are we gonna come out of the cowboy stage and get into the professional stage? Why are we standing fast and standing against this thing so much? You're acting as if these people were asking you to do something wrong. You would think we was, I mean, it's almost like beating a retarded kid here at this point. I'm about done. And I think there's other people probably going to the state after this deal. Because the urgency of fixing this problem and not addressing it correctly and still band-aiding it. What is going on? And I asked this question 4 months ago. What is really going on? especially when you promoted somebody in finance to be the county manager. That assisted in the mayhem that we're facing now. Are you guys hearing me at all? I mean, standing, looking at it from me, it's like, who's running this place? Are we intentionally shooting ourselves in the foot? A good accountant could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the thing I'm not seeing here. This is an easy decision. You have so much grant, so much lease, and making this thing happen. This is going to turn into, people are going to look at you here pretty quick. They're going to ask, what were you really doing? Are we held hostage by the conditions of Kevin or whoever hired these people? Are we held hostage by that and we can't get out of it? Where are we at? What's going on? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And you got other people here that are going, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We haven't reconciled the cash in how many years? Does anybody know? Kevin, you were in charge of it for what, a couple of years maybe? Of finance? Were you or no?
Yes.
So you've known about this for a couple of years. Lucas, you're new to the scene. Well, we're interested in getting to what is the holdup? What is the stumbling block keeping us from going forward? Because it sounds like it's urgent. But there's something going on. And I'd like to answer. I would love for Kevin to come and tell us what the problem is hiring an individual that can do double entry bookkeeping and can get the auditor in and out so he doesn't have to spend a lot of time here. I want to know what the root cause is. Can we get to the root cause? That's what I've been asking for 4 months. What is the real problem? Deb, do you know what it is? I don't know what it is.
You don't.
I have no idea what it is.
And you're out of time. Thank you.
So you're not. So answer the question. What's the real problem here?
Go ahead, sir.
John Van Dorn. First thing I'd like to say is this is a much better run meeting. Rules that of the road you've established for the meeting, I think are working. We might even get out of here, before you guys have to go to the next meeting. Regards the finance director position. I think it's important that you all recognize if you decide to go forward with that position, that it's more than just an accountant. If it's just an accountant, why bother? What you're looking for is someone with director experience, leadership experience, that will drive this thing forward. I don't think this person exists in Custer County. I think 65 to 75 is light. I think you might go 85, even 95 for the person that I hear people wanting to have that deserves the name director. The other thing that's going to be missing in your budget you haven't mentioned is relocation costs. If they're coming from outside the county, you're going to have to pay this caliber person relocation costs. And there's also the difficulty of finding housing, moving children, whoever this person is. You're going to have to scour the Front Range and the Western Slope, I think, to find this person. Given what I've seen of the job description. So once again, very important that you don't overlook leadership skills and experience in government accounting. If they're coming without those two things, it's the wrong person. Thank you.
Good point. Thanks.
How are you guys briefed on things like the shooting? Do you guys get a briefing from somebody, or how are you kept apprised of all this stuff?
Sheriff does share with the three of us. He usually sends a text like with the fire updates on the fire. He was sending
He's
that
pretty
out.
key and pretty detailed.
Twice a
Okay.
day.
Okay.
It did.
Okay.
It's not always very regularly, but of course I expect that because he's pretty busy.
Okay. Well, if you put it on an agenda sometime,
Okay.
he and I would be glad to speak to you guys on this, give you a rundown of everything that happened. We were there start to finish.
Okay.
And if you guys need a briefing on that, we could do that at some point.
Okay.
Thank you, by the way, for being one of the first ones there and understand that.
He was the first one there.
Into the county and
We were,
took care of that, so.
yeah, we hauled the victim out in the corner truck.
Thank you.
Yeah. Glad to help.
Anyone else? You may.
He's being very bashful. He saved a life. And that is critically important to know. He was a hero and his team were a hero. Kita, Rich, and you can't thank you enough.
Right on, right. Thank you.
Yeah, if they hadn't been there, that lady would have died.
That's right.
She was gone.
Yeah, without a doubt. She would have been.
Again,
Sorry.
you
and
have
Barker.
you have our thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I have two online and then I will adjourn this meeting after these two comments, so Joy.
Hello, this is Joy Anderson. I've listened to the comments about this finance director. And I remember back in August when I first became aware of the county manager position, and it seemed to me that, the county manager was in there for about 4 days. And one of the first things he did was promote this person to the position of finance director in the department. Well, when our committee started looking into things and we started investigating, we came to you on October 18th, and we presented to you at that time the qualifications of the person that you were considering, the qualifications first of the person who had been running the finance department and who was it that you were going to promote as county manager. And we also looked at the qualifications of the person who he had just promoted as finance director. In both cases, it became very evident that neither person was qualified to be running a finance department at all. They did not have the schooling or their work experience to qualify them for this job, and yet they were there. Shortly after we made the recommendation that somebody else be put in place who has a finance background, the finance director decided to hire an assistant who also, as far as we know, does not have any finance background on her resume. I would love to see that. And so now we have a third person with no finance background. At the end of October, you passed a resolution saying that you were going to hire somebody temporarily to come in. You already passed it. I don't know why that hasn't been posted and why that person hasn't brought in. But then today, as well as the last BOCC meeting, you've kicked the idea of a finance director down the road. One can only look at so much of a pattern before they come to the conclusion that you really don't want somebody else in here with finance experience to see what is going on in the county. That is the conclusion I have come to. For some reason, you don't want somebody with the experience that they should have in this position to actually have the position. And it doesn't look good on the three of you or the county employees to take that position.
Every one of you should be fighting for the most expertise you can get right now so that you can stand proudly by your county. And instead, you are knowingly backing people who do not have the financial expertise to do the job. And this is a big thing. I've heard a really good job of people minimizing the need for an accounting person today. Shame on them. Getting a qualified audit after years and years of poor audits, that is not a minor thing. And that is evidence you don't know what you're talking about. We need somebody with experience, and we need them now. What do you have against experience? What do you have against it? Each one of you. What's the resistance that you're feeling towards having somebody in there who actually would know how to do things? And they will be able to tell you how the finance department should be organized. Get them in there. Let them see. Let them, as the experts, make that decision, not you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
And last one, Jordan,
Jordan Hedberg.
you might want to mute.
See you, Joy.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Thanks, Mr. Day. One of the things that I've observed about this, talking about the finance department, and I've written about this quite a few times in the past, is, and I do think it should be up for discussion. I've pushed a lot in the past for saying that, so first of all, governments generally run on a cash basis accounting system. I'm simplifying here, but they run on a cash basis system. So to points made earlier, we actually don't necessarily run a double bookkeeping system in most governments. So a double bookkeeping system is an accrual-based system. I'm a big fan of accrual-based systems. That's how most businesses have to run themselves. But small counties or a lot of governments, there's reasons why they would and would not do that. So if the county wants to hire somebody to have an accounting degree, preferably a master's and stuff like that, that's way overkill for a government that runs on a cash basis system. And that's not a criticism one way or another, but that's just how it is. And so the last thing, so if you're going to do this, I would argue then, if you're going to move forward with trying to really bring in a different system, you're really talking about, are you going to do an accrual-based system? I'm a huge fan of that. I think it creates long-term financial responsibility. It makes sure that little costs don't run up on you, like the Justice Center or cars. You have a way to replace them as they're depreciated. But also note, it's very rare in governments. Almost no governments use it, all the way up to the federal side of things. So you would really be breaking new ground, which I think would be admirable. But that's the system. If you're going to go for somebody that you're going to pay $100,000 to $150,000 a year, so that's a master's in accounting, that's overkill for the system that we use now. And Lisa does a very, very good job. She actually has a lot of experience in government accounting and stuff like that. And she's doing a really good job of getting things up to speed. Braden Wilson before that also did a really good job of getting things up to speed on that. And to me, it's, if you're going to have this discussion about accounting, then we're just going to make sure that we do that. So anyhow, thank you so much.
Thank you. I would comment. Everyone has been pretty respectful till right here at the end, and you gentlemen in the back row.
I haven't commented.
No, you will be quiet. You have spoken already in the public comment.
I have not commented.
Okay. You gentlemen were sitting back there being very disrespectful when the respect had been shown beforehand. I will not tolerate that anymore. You included, Jimmy. That's three of you back there that could not contain yourselves. If you cannot do that, you will exit these meetings.
It was pretty hilarious, but I'm leaving.
You may.
Pretty
And
loud.
I have taken my last public comment. I said the last two online would be the last ones. We need to adjourn this meeting. You may comment next time, Mr. Rigo. At this time, it is 11:40 a.m. and I will adjourn this meeting.
It was.